Action.
Sit down.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Is it recording?
Exam 3. Now remember to bring your insert. I'm not going to let you borrow mine. Okay, so make sure that you copy the flow chart. If you don't have one, you can print that from my lecture notes. Okay, you need to add that to your insert. Okay, and all the tables. Okay, and the 2 cheat sheets. Okay, make sure that you get those.
Oh, I have a question about the cheat sheets. Can we type ours up?
You can do whatever you want. Okay. All right. So the question 1. Okay.
1 point.
5 points. Estimation. I'm not going to tell you which one,
Oh.
but it's going to be an estimation. And the I think I mentioned that like first 2 or 3 is just the rewriting the information from the question. So your grade will be based on like finding critical values, marginal errors, and confidence interval, and interpretations. Okay, so make sure that you know how to get those values there. Now, the major mistakes that I see when I grade this paper is that students are using the wrong table. Instead of using Z alpha over 2, they are using T alpha over 2 or vice versa. So if you find that the wrong critical value, everything else is going to be wrong, right? So be sure that you read the questions, find out which case it is. It's case 1, normal distribution table. Case 2, T distribution table. Case 3, you know what I mean by case 1, 2, 3, right? Case 3, normal distribution table. Case 4, chi-square distribution table. Okay, so don't forget that. All right. And the question 2, another 5 points. Again, this is another estimation. Okay, same thing. So you will have 3. So question 3 here. Okay, another 5 points. Okay, and the estimation. So you will have chance to do 3 out of 4 estimation problems.
But we don't know which.
You don't know which one.
Well,
You got 75% probability, right?
I don't know. Not my luck.
What do you mean?
Not with my luck.
Probability is not a lot.
It's low-key for me.
Okay. Okay, so you need to study all 4 cases just in case.
Did he tell us that we can ask you once
Hmm?
which case it is? He said we can ask you once which case it is.
No.
Yeah, you said that last time. I heard something like that. Yeah.
No, I said when you do the hypothesis test, you can ask me 1 time, see if your original claim is correct. Okay? Then I will tell you. Just 1 question. Okay? Not all of them.
Oh, we can all ask.
No.
You ask and you ask.
Now, question 4, 5 points. Okay, so this is going to be the hypothesis test. I'm not going to tell you which one. Okay. Now remember to, if I ask you, if you're using the case 1, then I'm probably going to ask you to find the p-value and interpret the p-value in terms of the question information there. Okay, so if I ask you p-value and things like that, then you know it's going to be case 1, right? And make sure that you explain your p-value using the information that you have in the question, just like the Shakespeare's New Words that we watched the video. Okay, it's things like that. So you need to make sure that you tell me what the p-value is. Okay. Question 5 again, 5 points. Okay. Same hypothesis test.
But we don't know which one.
You don't know which one. But you probably have a pretty good idea, right?
Kinda, not
Yeah.
really.
Now remember the on the test, okay? When you write the conclusions, make sure that you follow the flow chart, okay? And that's why I'm asking you to use that. Okay? I cannot accept if you just come up with your own conclusion there. Okay? Because it's going to be different. Okay? And the question 6, 5 points, another hypothesis test. Okay, so you have 3 out of 4. Okay, hypothesis test there. All right, moving on. Question 7. Oh, I cannot go over that line, right? Okay. This is going to be the finding sample size. Okay. So you will have to use the formula n is equal to z alpha over 2 sigma square over margin of error. Oh, sorry, sigma to the square there. So this is the video that we watched about the sample size for the monkey for the experiments. It's the same thing. Okay? So this is the 3 points. Okay? Now the question 8. Now, this is a question, the free response question. This is a free response question. So remember that I mentioned that I will ask you different free response questions, right? This is a question about why are we using different confidence level, like 90%, 95%, 99%. Okay, remember that why we are using, right? How do we come up with a 90%, 95%, 99%? And why are we using 90% rather than 99%, or vice versa? Do you remember the explanation I gave you?
No.
Okay?
What is it?
I'm not going to tell you right here.
Oh.
You need to, we still have a couple of more days next week. So if you have questions, come ask me. Then I'll explain in detail, right? But I did explain why, that's the fish analogy the Mankirat talked about earlier today. Okay? The 90%, 99%, that's the fish analogy, net. Okay? So that's the one that we talked about there. So that's another 3 points. Okay? Now the question 9. Okay? This is another free response question. Okay? This is the question about the what is a null hypothesis? Okay? And what is alpha represents? Okay, so we talked about this, right? And the null hypothesis, I explained that using the the example of treating the population, right, with a man 55 older. So you can kind of use that analogy to explain what the null hypothesis is and what the alpha is. Okay, so that's another 3 points. Okay, and the question 10 is the hypothesis test and the estimation of the 2 populations. So this is what we did today and yesterday for my 2 o'clock class. But the other class we'll talk about that next Monday. Okay? So make sure that the when we look at the estimations, like what we did exercise today, does the interval contains a 0? If it contains a 0, you have to tell me what's going on. If it doesn't contain, you will tell me what's going on there. So there will be 2 parts in there on question 10, okay? And hypothesis test is going to be 7 points there. And the estimation will be, how many is that? 4 points. Okay, so all these 10 questions are pretty much what we did all along in the class. Okay, it's not going to be any different. You're going to see exactly the same table that we have done for the estimation. You're going to see exactly same rows, original claim, competing idea, null hypothesis, alternate hypothesis, exactly the same. Okay? And you're not going to see any surprises here. Okay? Now, even though these free response questions are 3 points, it is very important for you to understand what's going on. Okay? And these 6 questions over here, they're all 5 points each. Okay? So that's going to be a total of what, 30 points. And so that's about 60% of your grade. So if you don't, if you don't make a mistake in these 6 questions, you're going to be fine. And I'm sure that this is going to be okay. And the free response, you'll do okay too.
That's what I thought.
Okay?
This next
Questions?
Is this our part A?
Oh, we'll talk about that on Monday
Okay.
for you guys. Yeah. Okay? Any questions on what's going to be on the test?
No, that's it.
Yeah, what else do you want?
Well, I had that one question. Why are we using the 90%?
Why are we using it?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, you tell me.
Well, you said to ask you later. Oh,
Yeah.
you mean like later?
Yeah, we can just come by the office hours, we can talk about that. But I need you to understand though, right? Okay? Any other questions? Now, we're going to talk about the research paper now.
Oh, do you want us to stop the recording?
No, this is fine.
He's looking at me. Not good.
What? Okay. Now, beginning at, next week, after the test, now we're going to get into the area called the correlation and regressions. And that's what the research paper is going to be on. Okay? It's a very practical area, and a lot of research has done in that area. Okay? And I'm going to give you some idea about the
I'm gonna
research
ace this.
paper. Now, I cannot go there, can I? The white area there.
Yeah, if you move it over, or if you start writing over here.
Here is okay?
Yeah.
We'll turn it. Yeah, we'll turn it.
Look at that.
Okay.
Cameraman. Keep turning it. Keep turning it. Keep going.
No, because the screen, you can't see the screen.
It's
All
fine.
right.
Forget the screen.
What? So, let's look at the research paper now. You have options of grading. There are 2 options. Can I?
You're good with it.
I'm good? So there are 2 options of grading. So the first option is that all or nothing.
Yeah, that's.
Okay? So if I accept your paper, then you will get 1 grade up. Okay, 1 grade up. So if you have a D and I accept your paper, then you will get C. If you have a B and I accept your paper, you get A. Now the problem here is that your paper
Better be
has
good.
to be really good.
So basically, has to
Okay?
be perfect.
So that means that you don't want to take chances.
And no one's perfect, so I don't know.
Okay? Now that's the first option. Now the second option is if your paper, okay, if I grade your paper A, okay, you're going to be at 5% into your grade. If it's going to be B paper, it's going to be 4%, C 3%, and the D 2%. So I'm going to add this percentage at the end of the semester before I give you the letter grade, and I'll add up to the your total percentage. So if you have like 85% and you got A's, you took the second option and you received the A, then I'll add 5%, so you'll get 90%, so you're going to get an A. Things like that.
It's just tricky.
I hope that nobody writes the paper as F, because you're not going to get anything on F.
You don't even get 1%?
No.
Ah,
Okay.
F for
We're trying.
forever.
So there will be a minimum. I'm going to talk about this minimum requirements for the research paper. Okay? Now, there are some strict, it's not that strict, but you're just gonna have to follow these rules here. Okay? So let's just go through the, this is the, what is the first one now there? So let's look at the requirement first. So first, you have to follow the APA format. So if you're not sure, just go to apa.org and you can find out the formatting.
Is any of this on Canvas?
It should be.
Yes. So if you are not sure about what is the APA format, you just go to apa.org, then you can follow their format. So that means that your cover page, okay, and you all have to use the one side only, okay, and you have to type your report, including the graph, okay, and you're going to have to answer all the questions above that I'm going to talk about. Okay, if you don't have any, if you don't answer the questions, then you're going to get 0 for that category. Okay. Now, you also have to indicate where you got this data from. Let's say you want to do the research paper on the number of hours that students using smartphone and their GPA. Okay, we want to find out, see if there's any correlations. Then you need to tell me where do you get these data from. Okay, so the minimum data that I want you to see for any research paper is 30 people. Okay, so you need to collect 30 people and find out, for example, number of hours of a smartphone using and their GPA. Okay, so that would be a minimum. Now, the one thing that I don't want to see here is that you go to your friends, and your friend, female friends, you get all the female friends' data. That's not simple random sample collecting, right? So you have to be random, simple random sample. So you go to the other side of the campus and collect few of them over there, and then go to this side and collect them. You go to Soto County campus and collect them. It has to be simple random sample collections, okay?
On number 6, where it says, what are you talking about there?
Oh, I'm going to talk about it in a minute.
Oh,
Okay? So be careful. So be careful about the collecting your data. Sometimes that because your data is consistent, it's not going to tell you anything. Okay? So let's be sure of that. If you have a problem with collecting the data, just come talk to me and I'll help you. Okay? Now next one is going to be you have to use stat software. You are not going to do this by hand. Everything, we're going to talk about this next week. Everything has to be driven by this, what we call StatDisk software. This is a free. So you go to the statdisk.org, you can download it for free. Or if you bought the book, it came with you on the CD. Okay? So you can download that from there. If you don't have one, then you can use my copy to put it on your computers. So everything, for example, like if you want to find the correlation, regressions, all the graph and everything, it has to be done by this guy here. Okay? The only thing that you're going to type is your analysis. Okay? So, and after that, right? You're going to have the last thing here is the conclusion. When you write the conclusions, you're probably going to do some kind of hypothesis testing, regression testing, whatever that you might do. You will have to be very clear about your findings. Okay, so the last section of the paper, you have to tell me what happened to your research. Do you have any correlations, or you don't have any correlations? Okay, so you will have to explain that at the end. Okay, so that will be the last thing that you have to do there. Now, there are a bunch of questions that I listed. You're probably not going to understand right now, but once we get into the correlation regressions, you probably know exactly what these things are. Okay, so right now I cannot, even if I explain that to you, you're probably not going to understand anything. So for example, like we have calculate the correlation, make a scatter plot, and all the other things, right? And as I go through next couple of weeks, I'll explain all this, okay? So you can apply that to your research paper, okay? Now, this is not going to be due until the last day of the class, okay? So last day of this class is going to be, I don't know, December something. 14, so you have enough time for you to come up with, okay, do this. Now, remember, this is not required, this is optional. Okay, if you think you're gonna need some help, and this is the only way that you can get extra credit,
And you
okay?
have to choose when you turn it in, option 1 or 2.
Yes, you need to write down on your paper,
I'm scared.
okay, I am choosing option A or option B, okay? Now, I hate to say this, but if you're going to choose option, first options,
You gotta have a
okay,
good grade already.
I need to see that really, the good papers, okay? So substantive quality paper.
I'm sure as long as we follow the directions that you gave us, it would be a great paper.
Yes, there will be a paper on this one. This one has to be go out, through the roof.
Well, I mean, like, what do you mean, like, do you have one to give us as an example that
Now,
somebody has turned in?
yeah. So here's the, I gave you an example of when I teaching other university, that the, one of my students did this. Okay. So this was the example of students. She was majoring in the kinesiology.
Oh, look at that.
You know what that is, right?
Of course.
Kinesiology. So this is the what she did here. So she kind of wrote the paper on the BMI and the weight,
Who's a BMI?
body mass index.
Oh.
Okay, so that's the the numbers that tells you how fat you are. Okay? Me.
You said
Yeah. So you see if there's any correlation. The problem with the BMI is this: if you are all muscle built, it's going to be same number as the guy who is just weight heavy. Okay. So what she did is that she kind of wanted to see if there's any correlation between the BMI and the weight. Now this is not A+ paper. Okay, but there's a lot of mistakes. I see that. But she's following the exactly what I want to see. Okay, so like abstract, and then the
would this be like a letter grade?
letter grade will be probably between A and B.
Oh,
she
you're
did-
really hard
if
at
it was all or
grading this.
nothing, she wouldn't have got it?
Huh?
So if it was the first option, she wouldn't have got it?
No.
Okay.
She would
Wow.
get, if the first option, this would be 0.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So no one choose that one.
So I mean, if you look at this, the everything she did okay. Now
I think it
I
looks like-
really wanted to see what.
What?
The she explained everything pretty well, right? And the she's following exactly what I want to see there.
So like, what would be some
But the-
mistake?
Yeah,
She
what-
used
what-
the SPSS instead of a statistics, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. And she did the scatter plot there, and the but this I wanted to see, like statistic or the Minitab to
So
draw the.
don't- Oh, sure.
Yeah, this is a hand drawing there, so it's not that good. Okay.
It's not
So
that
she
good,
has
but it's right.
she satisfied all the requirements, but that's about it. Okay, I didn't really see the whoa, this is really nice.
So what do you want us to throw in there to move you? To be like, whoa, that's a really good thing. Like,
Mickey?
well, yeah, Mickey
Mickey? What's
Donald.
Mickey?
in person.
No, this is fine. That what I'm saying here is that the
Isn't that fast? At the end.
the only thing that I wanted to see here is that the what if you read this carefully, she's just repeating the what she found out from the collected data. That's not what I want to see.
So you want us to like?
I want to see some analysis.
Okay, alright.
Well, but like,
Okay, do some analyze. Why do you think this is? I had a student who wrote a paper about the correlation between the global warming and the drought in California, and she explained so well. Okay, she got an A.
She didn't get a
Oh, she
all
got,
or nothing.
at the time I didn't have this option there, so she got an A.
Oh.
Okay, so all I want to say here is that I don't want you to repeat what you know already I know, but I want you to tell me something that I am interested in. What are you analyzing? What are you finding out?
I'm gonna.
Okay, I can see that what the degree of freedom is. I know what the p-value is because you told me that on the paper, but that's not what I want to see. Okay, so just try to explain in more detail. Yes.
This can be about anything, right?
No. So the thing here is that if you decide to write the paper, you need to select the topic and come to me. Okay? See if we can agree with this. Okay? So that's the first thing. Okay? Any questions? Are we okay? All right.
Good luck to all of you guys.